Okay, so you might get to the point where you've realized that this person cannot and will not and should not come back. And even if they did come back, your nervous system has got to the point where it would say no, even if you, in your mind somewhere, wanted to say yes. You couldn't because of how much hurt has happened in the past. And you just got to the point where you know you've got to look after yourself and that you can't risk it. It's too much of a risk for them to come back into your life. And it's caused you so much pain that you've got to start to think about a new way of living, a new way of being. And in a way, this is a brilliant time because you're actually starting to let go of the cycle, the painful hope and disappointment cycle that you've lived in for so long. You're starting to see things as they are instead of what you wish they would be or you wished they could be. You're starting to look at things from much clearer vision, having lived in that cycle for such a long time. And now you're like, oh my God, I just want to be free. And so you start to feel more empowered at this point. You start to feel like you can really take your life back. And there's a mixture of emotions because there may still be grief that comes up about the time that you spent, the energy, the love that you poured into this situation, all of those feelings that were so beautiful at the time for a while, and the connection that you had with this person, and just the fact that it didn't work. Like, it's over, and that is hard. No matter if you're the one choosing it or you're not the one choosing it, losing a connection that was so important to you is still hard. So there may be grief, even if there's a larger part of you now that knows that you can't be with this person and you're starting to accept it. So you've got to let yourself feel that. We can't rush any of the steps. Okay, so grief and anger and all of these things, they're going to come up first. And you've got to sit with it. And it might come in waves. So grief always does come in waves. You know, you might have a really, really good day and then have a real dip. And this can go on for a really long time. You know, it can take ages for the waves to become a bit more stable. And you can have a really good few days and then suddenly be like, oh my God, I can't believe that they're not coming back. I can't believe I've got to just let this go. And it can feel like you've gone back to square one. And that is really frustrating. So I just want you to budget in the fact that you're going to feel sometimes like you've gone back to square one and you miss them and you're longing for them again. And it feels like you've made no progress at all. But that is not true. You have to sometimes revisit those feelings in order for you to move forward. And that is just what's happening. It's like an expansion and then a contraction. An expansion and a contraction, and this is how we birth a new version of ourselves, a new, more liberated version of ourselves. So budget in that you will feel those days where the grief arises again. You will also have days where you're like, oh my God, I am free. Oh my God, I can't believe that I hung on to this for so long. I can't believe that I put myself through that. And you'll start to feel more and more connected to yourself. It's like the lights have been off in your entire sense of aliveness and beingness and you for so long. And slowly they start to come back on and you start to remember, oh, I remember this energy and this part of me and that part of me. And I can do that creative thing and I can do that. And you have more energy. So there's a really amazing part of this process where you start to think, my life is brilliant because I don't have this person like dragging me down and stressing me out every time they contact me. I'm stressed, but now they're not. And I am setting a boundary. I'm sticking to it. And now I'm taking my power back and you start to feel more peaceful. You start to feel like peace is the replacement rather than another person or another thing. What you don't want to do, when I said other person, that's a really good thing to not do right now, is don't jump to the next person because you're really just avoiding the difficult transition period. Inherently, is that the right word? I don't know. But transitions are hard. Like whenever you're in a phase going from one phase to the next, whether that's moving from an old relationship into a new era where you don't know, it's unfamiliar territory, the uncertainty about that creates fear, because we've only got the past to go by and we're primed to look for the worst case scenario in order to protect ourselves. So sometimes transitions can bring up fear, and having been in this cycle with this person for such a long time, you know what happens when you speak to this person. There's a familiarity there. You know the dynamic. You know that even though it's stressful, it's familiar. That's known. So the brain goes, we like it here because it's known. We know what's going to happen. We can predict it. Therefore, I'm safe, even if you're not emotionally safe. And the other thing where you're moving away from this person, you don't know what's on the other side of that. And that can feel a bit frightening. So we also have to think that in this period of transition, there may be some fear and anxiety that comes up. Again, mixed in with the freedom and the peace. So you're going to have all sorts of feelings and emotions, right? And it's going to be a bit all over the place for a while. So I want you to just know that it's going to be all over the place for a while. But things do start to settle down. And in months or in time, the peace starts to be more of a frequent occurrence in your life. You start to be able to really have a sense of control and really have a sense of fun and playfulness and creativity, which seeps out into work, into your connections, into your friendships, into ideas that you've got, into business ideas and all sorts of things that can happen. And so over time, you're going to be able to look back and go, oh my God, yeah, it feels so much better. So the other thing that you can do in this time where you've realized, okay, they're not coming back and I've got to set this boundary. I've got to look after myself. Even if they came back, I wouldn't be sure if I want them back anyway. So what do? You focus on what do you know you want in your life? What do you want to do instead? Putting yourself in new situations. I've got people who are going to salsa dancing classes and art classes and taking up a language or starting a new course or doing something different, taking themselves to a new city. I swear, going on a trip is one of the best things after a breakup, even if it's in the same country that you're in. Going on a trip where it's almost like you have a before the trip and an after the trip. Very often, a trip takes you out of that familiar setting where you've been whirling around in those emotions into a new environment where it's just you and it's just new and it's finding a new playfulness, a new aliveness from a new culture or a new place. And it's almost like that experience that has nothing to do with them creates an after the trip. So it's like you draw the line in where time was before and where you were before, and it's you come back fresh. And I swear, taking yourself to a new place is one of the absolute best things that you can do. And yes, you will think about them, and yes, you may have moments of missing them, but at the same time, you're showing yourself that you can do things on your own, that you can meet new people, that life can be positive and adventurous and fun. And it has nothing to do with them. So I always recommend going on a trip because it's a great way to draw a line in the sand. But apart from that, it's looking after yourself and resting, healing your nervous system, because you've been in such a stressful period of your life trying to fix something where someone wasn't cooperating. And, it's about rest, sleeping well, eating well, laughing, taking yourself to new places. All these things are going to really start to rewire your whole sense of being, and you're going to feel so much better. And before you know it, you'll be like, maybe I should go on a date. And it'll be like, wow, I never thought I'd think that. I never thought I'd be ready to do that. And I'm not saying that you're ready to do that. I probably don't want to hear that right now. But in time, you will be, but in your own time, not in anybody else's timeline, because lots of people will hurry you up and trying to get you to move on. But you're allowed to talk about it. You're allowed to have those moments, and it's all part of the process. You do get to a point where you realise how far you've come and that you can be so proud of yourself for learning so much from this relationship, from navigating away from something that was not working and from being in a happier, healthier place where you can see your life, what you want more clearly, and from there you are better able to move towards it. You're better able to see red flags. You've got lessons that from this relationship you can take into the next one so that you show up differently and better in the next relationship. And like I say, it just takes time. And it's important that you do speak to people who get it, who can be there for you on your days where you're going to fall back and, want to contact them, and you're going to say, I'm going to break no contact. I'm just going to do it. I don't care. And there's someone there to say, why do you want to do that? What's the motive? What's going on here? Do you think this emotion is going to stay with you, or do you think it might pass? Because very often those moments where you're like, fuck it, I'm going to message them, they pass. So if you can just kind of put your phone down in those moments and go for a walk or do something else. And then later on, very often you think, thank God I didn't message them, So those moments are going to come, let them go. And just keep living your life. And sometimes it's going to feel empty, and sometimes you're going to feel lonely, So as much as possible, have things planned and have a focus that gives you energy, that lights you up. And you might not know what that is right now, but the more you put yourself into new situations and new places, the more those ideas are going to come. And in time, honestly, you're just going to be free. If you're not already there now, you're going to be free, and it's going to be amazing. So I hope you found this video useful. If you'd like any support, or if you'd like anyone to talk to on these days where you're like, oh my God, I missed them, then let me know. And if you'd like to join the Heartbreak Healers Club, this is also for people who are transitioning out of one phase of their life to the next. So you can find out all the information about that in the link below, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.